The Wheeling Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, December 5th is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary, could you please take the roll?
Commissioner Dorban.
I am here.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson is absent with prior notice. Commissioner Powers.
Here.
I am Commissioner Schaaf. I am here. Commissioner Stilen.
Present.
Commissioner Zangara.
Here.
And Chairman Rafato.
Here. Mr. Jennings, any changes to the agenda?
We do have one change. Consent agenda for 743 Sumac Road, SCBA 1330. We requested that item be pulled from consent and moved to items for review. It'll be item review number A, letter A.
Okay, thank you. Citizens' concerns and comments. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on anything that's not related to our consent agenda items tonight? No? We'll continue on to consent items. We have for docket number SCBA 1336, Serenella's Banquet, 601 North Milwaukee Avenue, appearance approval of wall sign. Docket number SCBA 1337, SG 360, 750 South Wolf Road, appearance approval of a freestanding sign. Docket number SCBA 1338, SG 360, 385 Gilman Avenue, appearance approval of awning and wall signs. And docket number SCBA 1339, Starbucks Coffee, 1083 Lake Cook Road, appearance approval of wall and freestanding signs. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary?
For the consent items, Commissioner Dorban.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson is still absent. Commissioner Powers.
Yes.
I am Commissioner Schaaf. I vote yes. Commissioner Stilen.
Yes.
And Commissioner Zangara.
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Items for review, docket number SCBA 1330, NJET, 743 Sumac Road, appearance approval of wall signs. Mr. Jennings.
Let me just catch up with you 1 second.
Sorry, moving a little quick, huh?
Oh, just one point of clarification for the Plan Commission. The Starbucks packet under the consent items that you just approved included a site plan that has a reference to a freestanding sign. That freestanding sign is the existing sign here. We've been working with the petitioner on the required submittal for that particular sign. It will come back at a later date. It was lacking a landscape plan and some additional details about the sign construction. So that is not part of the consent item that you just approved. Petitioner present. NJET is relocating from one airport property to another. The new airport property is within the village of Wheeling. The petitioner is requesting consideration of a sign, which is an existing sign, to be relocated to the building. We had discussion with the petitioner regarding this sign. They did understand that the way it was originally constructed is not going to conform with the Village of Wheeling requirements related to internally illuminated signs. Their current proposal is to remove the internal illumination, making it in effect a panel sign, which would then have the option of being externally illuminated. The primary purpose of that sign is to identify the hangar from Sumac Road, and we have the petitioner here to answer questions from the Commission.
Thank you. Could you just state your name and business address into the microphone, please?
Certainly. My name is Bob Pyatt, P-I-E-T. I represent NJET at 743 Sumac.
Okay, great.
And my name is Al Palicki. I represent Signature Flight Support at Chicago Executive Airport. I'd be the landlord for that particular building.
Great, thank you very much. I assume Mr. Jennings explained explained what you want to do. Do you have anything more to add to what he talked about?
Nothing really, no.
Okay.
It's just we had these, been using these signs forever over at Hangar 8, which is, located in Prospect Heights, and, we were actually kind of a little surprised by the issues. We understand the issues, and so we chose this route to remove the internal workings of the sign to comply best with Wheeling Code.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're going to start off with Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you. I have a problem with the sign, and it's kind of two-phased. One, I'd like you to be very, very successful, and something about putting a blank, non-illuminated sign on your building that I presume your hours of operation go into the nighttime hours, that just bothers me. I'm not sure if it'll be difficult for planes to see you. Obviously, I think it'd be to your advantage to have an illuminated sign, and I'd like to let you have an illuminated sign. I think you deserve illuminated sign, and I think you'll be a lot more successful with an illuminated sign. But what can you do to conform more to our ordinances to make something that's a little bit better than just a square box sign? And let me give you another caveat. If you're just moving from one facility into another, I can see a hardship that you want to get going, you want to be recognized right away. I'd even be willing to say, go ahead with what you're planning on doing now. If 6 months from now you can come up with a design that is more conforming to our ordinances. I mean, I really want you to be successful. I want you to stand out and be something that you can be proud of and we can be proud of as well. So appreciate your comments.
I really we have had our existing sign vendor, Signorama, generate some additional quotes that would assist in conforming to the standards. At this present moment, they're just not cost prohibited. They're ranging in the tens of thousands of dollars range, if I recall correctly. To be completely honest with you, this particular sign is constructed in the same manner as signs you'll see on O'Hare Airport that identify taxiways to pilots and stuff. So that's that went into the design of the sign originally. So you're utterly happy with the way it is? Well, no, we're definitely not happy with the way it is, but we said, well, okay, we'll just put it up non-illuminated to best conform with the village code while still allowing our customers to be able to identify where we are.
If I may add, Mr. Stylen, too, that where the hangar is, it's a private road. There's not a lot of road visibility. It's Sumac Road, and there's just not a lot of visibility there. And a great majority of NJET's flights are during daytime hours. Not too many people are looking for the hangar after 7, 8, 9 o'clock at all. They're all mostly leaving during the day and returning at dinner time-ish. The only thing I can say is there are a lot of other facilities in that immediate vicinity that have many different types of signs, some of which I don't think are illuminated, but are individual letters that have, I don't know. I'll
let other commissioners speak, but I just think that you could do a lot better than what you're offering. So, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorban.
Thank you. I like the sign itself, but I too would like to see it illuminated. But I'm looking at the one sign that's on the side. Can we? Yeah, that one. It appears that there's, right below it, there are lights that are shining up onto the side. Am I correct?
No, those are just basic building perimeter lights.
Okay. Then, is there a way of illuminating the first one, both of them, in some manner? I mean, if our option is to keep the sign, then how can we have it so that people can see it?
We can, I mean, we don't have any objections to externally illuminating it per, to externally illuminating it per your code regarding, non-illuminated signs using a spotlight.
We've tried to get away from can signs as much as possible. But if I had my druthers, I would rather have it lighted. But somehow, some way, I would like to see it, lit so people do know where you are. Because you're right, on Sumac Road, it's pretty dark down there.
Well, the waste transfer station and the SET people, they don't like to light the place up, unfortunately.
Yeah, if we could just illuminate the sign somehow, some way, that would be.
And those two particular signs are facing the taxiway and the ramp, so those aren't even visible on the street and are actually in secure areas of the airport.
Yeah, that won't even be seen by the public. Basically, that'll only be seen by the airfield side.
Well, those are my only comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Powers.
Thanks. Andrew, I'm still trying to struggle why, I guess I'm trying to understand why we're getting this. Is it because we do not allow illuminated cabinet signs in this location? Is that what we're talking about here?
It's a village-wide, a internally illuminated sign must give the appearance of individually illuminated letters, either by construction as a channel letter sign or by otherwise illuminating only the letters on the sign.
So is a solution to put floodlights or something to illuminate it? Is that an acceptable solution?
Well, there are a variety of solutions. Construct the sign as individual letters. Their logo appears to be black, so that obviously does require some consideration. The option of illuminating externally, the option of requesting a variation from the code to illuminate it internally, there's several options available.
Mr. Powers, the only reason that this option has come up is we want to meet code, and two, it was a financial obligation. We've already purchased the signs a few years back. They're already on the airport. It's already existing. We must use what we have, and a few $10,000 is nothing that's in the budget right now.
I would like to at least see the sign illuminated, and typically, if this was a new building, we wouldn't even allow the cabinet with any type of a floodlight on it, right? It would have to give the appearance of individual letters. Is that correct?
That's for internal illumination.
Okay.
If it was internally illuminated, it must give the appearance of individual letters.
Okay. I would like to see it lit. I guess I would be all right for now with the external lighting. At least have it lit in some aspect. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Zangara.
I think think everyone's pretty much hit on the details that I would suggest, so I really have nothing at this time.
Commissioner Schaaf?
I have nothing further, although I do believe that a illuminated sign is preferred, and I would prefer that. Something there is, on a temporary basis, but you really need an illuminated sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew, what other options are there besides this sign? Well, this sign, illuminated sign right now, the way it's constructed, is that to code?
Well, I think the question, as it is, what we would consider this to be is just an unusually constructed panel sign. It would be considered a panel wall sign, similar to an aluminum panel with vinyl graphics on it. It's just this particular one happens to have 4 inches of air in between the aluminum panel and the vinyl graphics on the Plex front. So it is a unusually constructed sign at this point.
Okay, so so talk about this in other business. Okay, so what options does the petitioner have? Because based upon what I'm hearing is that this sign would probably be denied if it went right now. So what options are available?
We have a couple of options. The commission could poll as to a couple of different things. You could take a poll so they could hear how this particular sign as a permanent signage solution for this building would be considered, at which point they could take that information, request that it be tabled if that poll were in fact negative. The commission could poll as to, at that point, you could have a follow-up poll as to whether the commission would consider the sign as an illuminated sign if the petitioner were to come back as a variation. Of course, not specifically authorizing variation, but giving them the direction to...
So putting the internals back in to illuminate the sign?
Requesting the variation that would allow it to be fully illuminated from the inside of the cabinet.
Okay. Or what about illuminating the sign through floods or something like that? Is that allowed?
Well, that's essentially what they're asking for right now, is the ability to illuminate it with floods if they so choose. I don't believe you have a specific light. Is that correct?
We don't have any lights like planned or anything to illuminate it at this moment. We have been working on obtaining this permit for 10 months now, probably.
Permit for the sign?
Well, since we moved from Prospect Heights to Wheeling, we had to obtain a Wheeling business permit before we moved.
Not just for the sign?
Yeah, not just for the sign. But the sign has been, that was as October 25th we've been working on this, the sign aspect of it. But existingly right now, these signs are still on our old facility in Prospect Heights, and Mr. Palicki has, of course, leased that space to another tenant, and I'm sure they would like the signs down and moved just as much as we would.
Well, we do have code, though, so...
Oh, I understand, and,
right.
We're not, we're.
So, first off, I sense that the existing sign as it is would get a no. Do I need a poll on that, or?
Well, I heard kind of a mix of responses.
Okay, so the first poll is the sign as it exists right now. Is that acceptable, non-illuminated sign? Commissioner Dorban?
Without any lights whatsoever?
Without any lights,
Okay.
as it is.
No, I would like it lighted somehow.
Okay, Commissioner Zangara?
No.
Commissioner Schaaf?
No.
Commissioner Stylen?
No.
And Commissioner Powers?
No.
That would be 5. Yeah, 5 no's. And I would vote no also. So the next question is, would we consider them coming back with a plan to light the sign externally through floods or something like that? Commissioner Dorban?
I would be okay with floods externally.
Commissioner Zangara?
Yes.
Commissioner Schaaf?
Yes.
Commissioner Stalin?
Come back with a plan, yes.
And Commissioner Powers?
Yes.
Yes. So I would vote yes that way. I'm not going to ask about the variation because I think you have some direction as to what we're looking for from an external sign. So the sign is okay, but we need some plans on how it's going to be illuminated. So we can continue this, or?
It'd be up to the commission. You can table it or a conditional approval on them providing a floodlight.
Yes, Commissioner Stalin.
Can I ask what the depth of the cabinet is? Is it 4 or 5 inches, something like that? Is there any chance in your remanufacturing of it or your gutting it that you might be able to make it a little bit thinner such that it would fit more back on the building and you'd be able to get some more reasonable lights on it?
We'll talk this, we understand what you're saying. We'll talk to Sign Ram and see if something can be done. But again, we're working within a small cap of money here, so we will ask them.
You know, I realize that. I realize the cap of money. We truly do. But we're trying to work with, we work within our codes, and I truly understand that, but we're working around that. I mean, that can't be our concern because that would be an issue every time we walked in the door. For every petitioner, sorry.
We have the direction, but
Right.
is there any way that we could?
I think we're going to ask you to continue it because Commissioner Stilin asked to see if you could reduce the depth of the can, and then we have some plans for lights. Okay. Yes, Commissioner Stilin. Commissioner Powers.
I was just wondering, I mean, if they're going to reduce the cabinet, is there any way that they could attach like a standard on top of the cabinet and just like bring a light over to like illuminate it that way?
I would think however they want to illuminate it, okay, is let them decide, and that's an option that they could have. Yes, Commissioner Stilin. Or are you asking for Mr. Powers again?
I believe they're also in a TIF district, are they not? Would they be eligible for sign assistance through the facade improvement program?
If they are in the TIP district, they would be.
So maybe that's another alternative that you might be able to pursue, that we could help you improve your sign. So eliminate some of that constraint that you have.
Okay. Anything else? Is this a continue?
It's considered a table. We just need a voice vote.
Motion to table.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Ready for the next one? Ready for the next one?
Sure.
Calling docket number PC 1313. Prairie Crossing, 701 through 749 North Milwaukee Avenue. Minor site plan and appearance approval for facade modifications. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. The new building owner of the Prairie Crossing North Building has been in contact with the village staff. As you recall, the primary tenant of the building is Spears Bourbon, opening soon. The primary tenant of the building and the building owner have been working together on some minor modifications to the building. The building owner had agreed on trying to model the color scheme for the building after the main colors in the identification logo for Spears Bourbon. The building owner's contractor, when contacting the village of Wheeling, miscommunicated their intentions with the building and ended up painting the building prior to the appearance approval. And since that point, we've been working with them. This color scheme is the color scheme that was shown conceptually in the graphics for Spears Bourbon, and for that reason, we do have Mr. Joe Romeo of Spears Bourbon here. I did, prior to the meeting, reach out to the owner of the building and request some clarification of the application. The application does involve reuse of the existing awnings. Those existing awnings were fading unevenly, so they elected to go with a black material on the existing awnings. In this picture, the awnings are down. They were recovered with a black fabric, which matches the Cooper's Hawk building to the south. The building itself was repainted, the tan color that you see with accent color of the maroon that you see on the round roof, as well as the canopy. I requested follow-up information from the building owner regarding the paint method, so I do have that. I did receive that today. And as I said, Mr. Romeo is here on behalf of the building owner, if you have any questions.
Great. Anything to add, sir?
Apologize about the painter and not getting the proper permit, but sorry about that.
All right, thanks.
I hope you like the color, though.
Commissioner Dorban.
I have to admit, I was just there today. The awnings that you are going to put in,
Yes.
put back in, are going to be the same color as Cooper Hawk?
Black, yes.
Okay, that's the only question I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Powers.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Zangara.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Schaaf.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Stylen.
I was under the impression from our former meeting that in the front, that round area was somehow going to be canopied in or some kind of...
We're not going to canopy it. We can't canopy that part of it in because it would look odd, but we are looking at doing something like that eventually, but I couldn't, architect and those guys are looking at doing something, but again, I couldn't figure it out. So what we did is the signs we brought in, we put the lights on the metal shooting up at the sign, so it's very tasteful, so I didn't want to block it. So,
Ready.
but we did try to widen the patio.
Thank you.
I have nothing. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Dorban, seconded by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary.
Okay, for PC 13-13, Prairie Crossing, Commissioner Dorban.
Yes.
Commissioner Powers?
Yes.
I am Commissioner Schaaf. I vote yes. Commissioner Stylen?
Yes.
Commissioner Zangara?
Yes.
And Chairman Rafano?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson is still absent.
Thank you.
There would be 6 yes, 1 abstain, or 1 absent.
One absent. Thank you very much. You'll just have something to sign.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
When are you going to open?
I'm opening by January 15th.
Oh, great. Congratulations. Good. Thank you.
We'll see you after our meetings. Calling docket number 2013-02,
24A and 24B, special use hearing continued from 11/14/2013, Northfield Presbyterian Church, 380 West Palatine Road. Variations from 2013 24A, variations from Title 19 zoning regarding building and parking and setbacks, and 2013-24 special use site plan approval for a religious assembly. The special use hearing was continued. Mr. Secretary, on the variation.
On the zoning variations as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-07, Industrial Districts, Section 19.070.020 I-1, Lighted Industrial and Office District, subsection E, setbacks and height restrictions, principal building, and subsection F, setbacks and height restrictions, detached accessory buildings, and associated sections relating to the existing and proposed setbacks for the principal building and parking stalls. The standards for variation. A zoning variation is intended to be a method of adjustment to equalize regulations where Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning has created an unnecessary hardship. A variation is designed to allow affected property owners the same rights and privileges that others enjoy in the same zoning district. In order to be granted a variation, a petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why their request meets the conditions of the village code, including, but not limited to, how their individual situation is unique or unusual. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that their request for variation meets the standards established in Title 19. The commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting material submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board.
Thank you. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. As commissioners will recall, Northfield Presbyterian was here just last month. We opened the hearing on their special use petition. About a week or so before that hearing, it was discovered that there was a discrepancy between the site plan property line and the survey property line. We had found a updated copy of the survey that the petitioner did not originally have access to. As a result, it was determined that their existing building did not meet the zoning setback requirement on both the south side of the building and the west side of the building. Their parking setback was also non-conforming. While they could renovate a non-conforming building, one of the options for the end user, the church in this case, was a vertical addition. A vertical addition inside a non-conforming setback would not have been permitted. It is also advisable for a new building owner to correct a non-conforming situation with their zoning setbacks. So given their options, they requested that the item be continued in order for the zoning variation hearing to catch up to the special use. That is why we were here. At the last hearing, there were a couple of requests made by the commission, specifically relating to the west parking lot. In discussion with the petitioner, it appears that there was a misunderstanding about exactly where that walkway should go. We did receive a revised plan. However, the walkway, I think the staff interpretation of the Plan Commission request was that walkway go to the south. The graphic shows it going to the north, so the petitioner has agreed to adjust the walkway south around the south side of the building to the entrance that you see here. Other than that, they've provided the additional requested materials for the the proposal. That includes the building material for the addition. Should they go vertically, they have submitted that material for your review. So at this time, I would hand it over to the petitioner.
Great, thank you. I know, sir, that you, excuse me, you spoke at the last session, but I don't believe that you spoke at the last session. So could you please give your name and business address, please?
My name is Kwang Son An, and I reside in 549 Coventry, Buffalo Grove. And I'm the elder at Northfield Presbyterian Church.
Great. So could you please raise your hand? Do you swear the testimony you give today to be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And could you please give your name again?
Gary Jung.
Great. So if you would like to speak to your presentation?
Yes. Just to rekindle, it's basic. The building is about 18,000 square foot, one-story masonry building. It was built about 30 to 40 years ago, and it's in a dilapidated condition. And as you are all aware, we are relocating our church from 100 Northgate to this site on 380 West Palatine Road. We would like to have a special permit usage for the church usage, and we have a plan to use as existing and maintain and update the exterior with landscaping and just cleaning up the area. Also, in our last submittal, I guess we did not have the current survey, and now we have a current survey, and which we found that along the south, there's about 14 feet between, which is our property line that goes along from the south edge, and along the western edge, it's about 68 feet, and that shows the current property location. We have provided, I guess, from the last request, access from the western facade. And also, we have agreed to do the curb in the parking lot, re-asphalt the parking lot. And because of the existing condition does not allow for audible and visual functions of the church, we are requesting an alternate. The alternate would we would have to raise the elevation of the eastern flank of the building by about 10 feet, including the facade, to have that audio effect. Because right now, the way it currently is, the building it only gives us 8-foot ceiling height, and that 8-foot ceiling height would be a tremendous, I guess, disadvantage. Just looking at the pulpit, there's choir and all these other issues with it. And that's why we would like to have the eastern flank. We do not believe there will be any type of external effects to the adjacent property, because all around it's about, I believe it's about 150 around the maximum, the minimum. So we will not, provide any kind of unwanted effect to the adjacent properties. If you look at the elevation, the alternate elevation, what we are planning to do is we will continue with the brick facade in the front on the eastern flank, and then on the center, we will, you see that triangular piece, if you look at the elevation 5, that's going to be made up of hardy board. And then the remainder of the facade is continuation of the brick. And then on the northern and the east elevation, what we're planning to do is use the hardy board. They're like a gridded hardy board. What they are is, they're like siding material, cement board material, but it's going to be a rectangular grid just to, I guess, conform with the design of the adjacent buildings, because if we put like, siding-like effect or horizontal, it will not look as good. We just want to conform, and that's why we decided to go with the rectangular panel system.
And there is an image of the rectangular panel system in your packet.
Anything else, sir?
No.
Great. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak to this petition? Nope. We'll go to the Plan Commission members. Commissioner Powers.
Thanks. You mentioned something about are you replacing curb in the parking lot, or are you
No, we're
putting?
not. We're just replacing the curbs that's defective, like spalled or anything like that. We're not putting curbs, we're just.
Replacing the stuff that's damaged or
Right,
whatever?
exactly.
Okay. The facility that you currently are in, how high is the ceiling in that facility?
It's about 16 feet high to 20 feet high.
So what you're saying here is on your eastern port of this, the alternate proposal, that'll take you from 8 to 18 feet, is that what it is?
Right.
And Andrew, is the variation because of the alternate plan here, raising the, I guess I'm not understanding, we have two proposals here. We have the alternate, which is, the worship is in the east side of the building, and we have the old one where it's like in the center. Are we choosing between one or the other, or what's the purpose for, I'm confused on that one.
Two questions there. The variation, if you look at the plan that's on the screen right now, the original proposal that we received showed a property line that reflected the property line up until about, I think, 2002, 2003. There was a roadway taking by IDOT for some planned improvements to Palatine Road that have not been constructed. So this property was, I believe, about 30 feet smaller than what they had originally thought. So the property line went from right around here up to where you see on this line. So the variation covers the existing conditions. They have a use, they're investing in a building that could not be rebuilt if it were to be damaged by the strict letter of the code. If it were to be partially damaged, the extent of the damage might prevent them from reconstructing the building. So that's one reason. The other reason, their addition over this area, if they purchase the building, have a structural engineer go through, and they cannot complete the central worship area under the Plan A, they would be looking at an alternate addition to raise the roof on the east side of the building to provide the acoustics and the visual for the worship area. So that addition, the vertical addition, they would essentially be increasing the extent of their non-conforming setback.
So are they going with A, and if they run into a problem, they go into the alternate?
If I describe that accurately, you're
Yes,
trying to
right
look into
now,
that?
as we see it, because we did not purchase the building, we didn't have the time to study this building enough for the acoustical and visual effect. But visually, the ceiling's only 8 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have, when someone's presenting, it's really hard to see.
No,
from across.
I understand.
And,
No.
that's why, we are requesting the other side.
So when we vote on this
To
or whatever,
raise the height.
we are voting on, we're going with the alternate, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And and Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, because the bushes on the west side really bother me. The property line on the west side, was it more towards the west than what it is now, than what we're seeing now? And that's how we got with Cook County having the ownership of the bushes now, because when we had the original plan, the line was further to the west, which included the shrubs, but now we have it right, and it's on the east side where they have no longer have responsibility. It's under Cook County, correct?
Yeah, it's the state, I believe, and they've got, when you have plantings in the right-of-way directly in front of your property, you do have some obligation to maintain them. IDOT certainly not come out and take care of them at this point. IDOT discourages new plantings in the right-of-way. This is not something that if this were brand new today, we would likely consider. They are existing. They do provide some screening for the parking lot. The petitioner's proposal is to trim them and just tame the wild shrubs there.
And the location of the sidewalk on the west side going south towards the building, is that going like where that little apron area was? If you know, there's like a little shaded out area in the west parking lot towards the front of the, yeah, right there. Is it going to like start there and then hook around to the front, or because we have not gotten, I guess you said initially it was the sidewalk was going towards the back, and we said no. I think Commissioner Zangara brought it up. We wanted something going towards the front. So where do we anticipate that sidewalk being on this plan? We don't have any kind of a sidewalk drawn on this plan right now, right?
Currently, you know, our plan was, you know, that's about 6 or 8 feet, you know, 6 to 7 maybe feet between the asphalt along the western edge there. That's where we originally intended to put sod. Mm-hmm. And after that, it's all asphalt. So now, yes, we will need to take all that sod out and put concrete. So there's a walkway path all along there, and we need to remove the sod there.
Right, so can we approve this without the sidewalk being drawn on a plan? I guess that's kind of what I'm asking.
I think at this point, what the petitioner has suggested is that this area here, if you go back to these photographs, the area is currently shrubs. Their proposal was to sod that area and make the connection around, I think I'm actually on the wrong side of the building. The proposal was to come around this, the other side. What the commission had in fact meant was for the south facade. So basically this goes to, this walk that you see goes to the east. The commission was asking for a similar path to connect to the west. And the petitioner has agreed to construct that. And I think at this point it's just a matter of locating it on the property.
Yes.
So the very long answer to that would be they are in agreement to connect in this direction.
Do we have to worry about any kind of like the property line or any kind of easements? Could the width of the sidewalk potentially be an issue where, I mean, looked like there was a pretty good clump of pine trees in there. Would possibly we lose one of the pine trees because of the sidewalk going in there, or no?
No, we do not. We will shift the walk to avoid. We don't see any pine trees along the path, but if there's conditions out there, we will shift the path so that we do not affect. Right? It's currently the trees along the south. It's not our property. We cannot touch those. I mean, but you know, we have to leave them as they are. So I don't see anything that would be in the way.
Yeah, I was thinking about the 3 pine trees that were like in the southwest corner there.
We may need to trim them just to give a head.
Yeah, so nobody hurts us. Okay. I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Commissioner Zangara.
I have a question regarding if you go to the floor plan.
Sorry.
In the multifunctional room,
Yes.
there's a door going to the exterior. Is that a new door or is that existing on the building right now?
That's a new door.
Okay, so that will be new.
Yes.
Okay. I do like the alternate a lot better. I think it flows more with people coming in and out of the building. So I do appreciate the options here. But besides that, I mean, you've covered things that we talked about before. That's really about it. I don't see anything else that I could really comment at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you. I really, as far as the plans go, see nothing wrong with these plans. You're going to take a rundown facility and build it back up, and I'm fine with that. I understand the contingency with the north gate, your north gate and everything. I really have no problems with this. Thank you.
Commissioner Styling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have absolutely no problems with the variation. I think that the entire problem was due to the fact that the city's expanded and the roads expanded around you, and you and the property had no choice. You're left with what you're left with. And I guess the only thing that I would ask you to agree to, that you do take care of the shrubs that are not on your property but are as close can be. I think you'd probably do that anyway, because you don't want your place to look bad. So I thank you for doing that. I think you deserve the variation. Special use to me seems to be very appropriate. The only thing that I do have a concern with, and I apologize, I was not here at the last meeting, you're going to be raising the roof by about 10 feet on the west side, if I'm not mistaken, and putting those hardy board panels. Did we see those materials last time?
We have it in the packet. I don't think it's in this piece here. In the materials that you received prior to the meeting.
Is there any artist rendering of?
I have it. Can I present it?
Of what the facade is going to look like when it's done? The building today has kind of like a trim cap around the top of the existing roof. Is the new expanded roof going to have some kind of trim cap?
Yes.
You know, none of that is detailed. I would really like to see some kind of drawing that shows how the existing roof material and the new hardy board material are going to join together, and then how the top treatment is going to be done to kind of conform what its colors are going to be, etc.
Right. I believe, do you have that packet? I mean, that's how it's going to look like.
Well, all I see is a red thing.
It's gridded, and as you see it over there, it's gridded. And on the top, we're going to have a cap way along. It's about 6-inch cap, just to have snow and, to...
Right, and how is it going to integrate into the existing roof? Is it going to be...
Well, it's not an existing roof anymore. It's going to be a new roof. That's going to be
but somewhere you have brick and this metal piece that's on there now, and then you're going to add on the hardy board panels, or is the whole side of the building?
Yeah, no, just wherever we're...
Right, so I mean, where that interface is between the existing brick and the hardy board panels, what's it going to look
It's gonna,
like?
well, it's gonna overlap right on top of it.
I hear you, but I'd like to see a drawing or a picture or something that kind of depicts what it's going to look like, so when it's done, we can say, yeah, that matches. But that would be my only concern, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Commissioner Dorban.
Thank you. I have no problem with this. I certainly would prefer the alternate basis because I think the layout of the inside is a whole lot better for you. So I hope that that comes to fruition for you. As far as the hardy board color, it is that red color that's in our packet. Is the reddish color, is that right?
Yeah, here's another packet that I don't know how got, but we are.
That's fine. What options do we have here?
And then, now,
It's a darker color that we're gonna move.
oh, it's more brown than, more brown than red.
Right.
Okay. And just, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention. Where exactly is that hardy board going to go?
Along, if you look at the elevation on top.
Oh, on the
'cause we're-
top,
right,
okay.
We're raising it above the existing brick line there. The hardy board's going to overlap the brick.
Okay.
Going to go all the way up, raised, and then it's going to end with the capping stone, and that's where it's going to go.
I'm really pleased that you're going to be able to utilize this building that's been sitting for a while. I look forward to all the improvements and changes, exterior and interior. It'll be great. Thank you.
NPC feels that, we would like to.
Thank you.
Thank you. So could you clarify again how the facade, how it's going to meet the brick and what you're going to use?
Well, it's, as you see on the elevation, the brick stops at about 12 feet high. We're going to come down, overlap the brick, remove all the structures, and then overlap about 1 foot of that with hardy board. These hardy boards are rectangular, so that you basically, they go in pieces, and then it's going to go about 8 feet high, we believe, at this point, and it's going to be capped all the way to the end with capping.
So it's going to be,
Metal
the
cap.
hardy board is going to overlap
the brick, right?
Overlap the
Exactly.
brick.
Right.
Okay.
And we believe that the thickness of this hardy board is about, it's very thin, but because of the backup material, will be another, about, it'll come out about 5 inches away from the building.
Okay. I also notice on this that we have right now on the screen, this area here, which is the south elevation.
Right, that's all brick. We're trying
That's
to
all going
match.
to be brick.
Right.
Okay. That whole thing is going to be brick. So that's south elevation, so that will be facing Palatine Road.
Yes.
And I think Commissioner Powers asked, he indicated, he asked what side of the building the addition was going to be on. Did you say the west, or it's the east, isn't it?
It's not the addition, but we're just
I mean,
raising it
where
up.
you're raising
Right.
the roof.
Right, it's
the east.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
East side.
Yes.
Okay, great. Andrew, if this gets approved, the special use gets approved, and we're assuming the alternate elevation here, but they really haven't gotten in there yet to determine if that's feasible. So the alternate elevation might not come to fruition. if it is feasible, would the church have to come back to us with their drawings, or would it just be permit and they would move on?
At this point, if the Plan Commission is satisfied that the plans clearly represent the proposal, you could certainly make a recommendation to the board. If there's a specific element, I just took 2 notes and added them as conditions of approval based on this discussion to clarify the specific elements that don't appear to be clear on the plan. So that's another option. You can certainly have them clarify with the condition of approval at this point.
Could they come back to us?
If you make a recommendation at this tonight for them, the next step would be for them to go to the board unless you have a specific item that you'd like to see back.
Mr. Styling?
Could we approve everything except appearance approval? Would that, we could do appearance
Approve
approval?
the special use and the variation, vote on both of those? Would that be possible?
Without approving them having the ability to do the vertical expansion?
Well,
At this point, the 2 are somewhat related. If there's a specific issue that you'd like to separate.
well, yeah, and it's the appearance related, I believe what I'm hearing, it's the appearance related to the raising of the roof and how it's going to meet with the existing building, and really what now that I look at it, the south elevation will look like with a rendering and how that's going to look. And to me, that's just appearance.
With the brick and all that, how that's going to match, if they're going to be able to match it and stuff like that, what it's going to look like.
How are the colors
Yeah.
of the existing and the proposed, and the south side that's going to have all brick, but it's currently brick, is it going to match?
I think they would have to go through that due diligence anyway.
Sure, and you could have, if they do end up pursuing the alternate on the purchase of the building, you could just stipulate at this point that the alternate elevation would come back as a minor appearance
Yeah, it's a
review.
minor appearance review. That's all we're asking. So we're voting on the special use and the variation, but just holding off because, one, you're actually not sure if it's going to come to fruition anyway.
Well,
And we would like to really see some rendition.
Sure.
Color rendering and how it's all going to fit together.
Sure.
Okay. We don't want to stop the progress and we don't want to slow it down. And I believe that would have to be part of your due diligence anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
In addition to doing the variation and special use, could we also incorporate site plan approval without the appearance approval? I mean, that'd give them a little bit more to go on, that we're behind them and in favor of everything.
That is essentially what you are doing.
Great.
It's the appearance approval is part of the site plan approval, and what you're suggesting is that if the addition is pursued, that they do come back for a minor review just to confirm the details specifically related to the transition from brick to hardy panel and the final appearance of the brick on the south elevation, which will give you a chance to make sure that it's a good match.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Excellent. Any other questions, comments?
I'll make that motion with
If
those
you-
conditions.
If you could, let's make a motion on the variation.
Oh. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Do we hear a second?
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Commissioner Stylen, seconded by Commissioner Schaff. Are there any conditions on the variation?
Give me 1 second, sorry.
I'm sorry, moving a little quicker.
Faster than I can type.
Let's get that going.
Okay,
This is the variation.
yes. I don't believe there's a condition. There is a note that the petitioner has presented a plan that does now illustrate the site plan and the setbacks on the same plan. That would be the exhibit that we would use for that variation.
Great, thank you very much. So we have a motion for variation from Title 19, 2013, 24A, made by Commissioner Stylen, second by Commissioner Schaaf. Mr. Secretary?
For that title variation, Commissioner Stylen.
Yes.
I am Commissioner Schaaf. I vote yes. Commissioner Dorban.
Yes?
Commissioner Powers.
Yes.
Commissioner Zangara.
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato.
Yes.
With Commissioner Johnson absent, that is 6 yes and 1 absent.
And docket number 2013-24B, special use for religious assembly with the following variations.
Similar to the other
conditions?
items, there's a note updating the motion from the staff report to reflect the materials that we received on December 4th. The conditions of approval, number 1 was from the staff report. Total occupancy of the building is limited to 252 unless a parking agreement for off-site parking is provided to the village. Number 2, that the walkway on the site plan shall be relocated to provide access to the southern door. Number 3, that the vertical addition return as a minor appearance review to confirm the detailed appearance of the brick on the south elevation and the nature of the transition from hardy panel to brick.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Stylen, second by Commissioner Powers. Mr. Secretary?
For the special use in site plan, Commissioner Stylen.
Yes.
Commissioner Powers.
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban.
Yes?
I am Commissioner Schaaf. I vote yes. Commissioner Zangara.
Yes.
And Chairman Rafato.
Yes.
That is 6 yes and 1 absent.
Motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We just have a few things for you to sign. Good luck.
Thank you.
At this point, we're anticipating the review of the board on December 16th, and we'll be in touch with you about confirming that date.
We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Oh, good.
Meeting is called back to order. Calling docket number 2013-25, hearing continued from 11/21/2013, November 21st. Housing Authority of Cook County, 454 Stone Place, variations from Title 19 zoning regarding residential parking. Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. The opening of this hearing, there were a couple of questions asked by the commission relating to the alternatives considered by the Housing Authority prior to deciding on the application for the proposal, which was to renovate the garage for the purpose of a living space. At this time, they've submitted a letter from the Housing Authority as well as a letter from the project architect in response to the questions from the previous hearing, and they're here to follow up and answer additional questions from the commission.
Who will be speaking tonight?
I'll be speaking. I'll be speaking. My name is James Harney.
Okay. Did you speak before?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so whoever's going to be speaking, so please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give today to be the truth?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So you submitted a letter, and you talked about the alternatives, second floor use of the first floor. What we're looking for is an explanation of those alternatives and why they were not seen as viable, and if it was a cost issue, what were the costs? That's probably the key question to start with right now.
Well, first of all, I'd like to introduce.
Sure.
This is Larry Hemrick. He's with EMG. He was our consultant on this. He's also our third-party certifier on all our UFAS properties. Brian Barnes. He's our director of our accessibility program, and John Duncan is one of our attorneys. Okay. So I'm going to defer a lot to Larry and to Brian because of the technicalities of it.
Aren't you glad we swore him in?
It's I'm the director of asset management. I was involved in this just to put out the addition.
I'm sorry, before you go on, we don't have a recording secretary tonight. Could you spell your name for me, please?
Sure. It's Harney.
Thank you.
We have an estimate for the construction of the room addition, and it was the room addition was $137,551, and the garage, the estimate was $59,259. And those were the alternative was putting on an addition compared to just building out the existing garage.
So, but one of the other options was the reuse of the first floor. And I'm sorry if I normally don't do this, but I wanted to ask some of these questions before. I think that's what we were getting at on. So one of the options was also the first floor living area.
I'm going to defer to Brian and to Larry.
Okay.
Because the options were more of a technical issue, why we couldn't do that.
Okay.
Let me handle that one. It was actually four options. So,
If you could.
Sure. My name is Larry Hamrick, and it's Hamrick.
Thank you very much.
There was actually four options looked at. When we go in and evaluate a home or a mid-rise apartment, but it doesn't matter, we're trying to look at what's going to have the best impact at the end of the day on the end user, who's somebody who is impacted and impaired and can't utilize normal elements in a home. So we look at that. We also have to look at cost. HUD, when they came out and mandated that we do all these changes, they don't come out and give you extra funds. You have to do it within their current budgets. And even though they talk about money substantially high cost, that they might look the other way, they don't. My deal is I'm a HUD-approved third-party certifier. Travel all over the country doing this. Housing authorities, this is what I work for. And so we have to find some medium ground that makes everybody happy. we also have to understand that when we go into a community like this is a beautiful community, that we don't change it in such a manner that lessens its quality or changes it such that it stands out from anything else. So that gives you a little background. As far as your first question, why did we not do the first floor within the space allotted? The main reason is UFAS, and I don't know if you know what UFAS is, but it's Uniform Federal Accessibility Standard. It's the accessibility code that HUD uses. It has certain requirements about clear floor spaces. It has certain requirements about pull side clearances at doors. It has certain requirements about paths of travel. The space that we have presently in that home, because I looked to try to modify that bathroom, that's the first thing I try to do. And then I try to find a place to put a bedroom. It's impossible to do that for structural impracticality and lack of space. There's nowhere for me to borrow from because I don't have the actual space required to meet the clear floor spaces in front of the fixtures, and I'm talking about plumbing fixtures. So,
Can you just, for the benefit of the commission, could you just give an example? You're talking about the clear floor space in front of a sink, et cetera.
Sure. Clear floor space.
No, that's fine.
Each fixture, whether it be a water closet, whether it be a sink, vanity, or whether it be a tub or shower, has required clear floor spaces. For a sink, it's 30 inches wide, 48 inches deep. Nothing can be within that clear floor space other than that fixture. A water closet has normally a 36-inch by 56-inch clear floor space. Nothing can occupy that space except that. A door cannot swing into the clear floor space of any plumbing fixture. So that means the door in this case in that home would have to swing out into the hallway. Well, that's not conducive because that can knock somebody out when they're coming down, especially if you have kids. So, and then a tub has a 30 by 60. A shower has a 36 by 60. And all these have to be met. HUD does not allow construction tolerances. They do not allow you to vary from what they have mandated. If it says 30 by 60, that's what they mean. If it's 29 by 60, it's non-compliant, I won't pass it. Simple as that. And so, with having to meet those things and the structural and practicality of being able to move walls, because this is a first floor, there's a second story on top of it. And there's nowhere for me to borrow any other space from the hallway or from the living room for the bathroom. We're talking strictly on the bathroom now, folks. That takes that one off the plate, which means I can't go into the living room, dining room, and I didn't really want to because the size wasn't that great because, there again, at the end of the day, I don't want to do something to the home that is going to lessen the life quality of the end user. And a lot of times, unfortunately, when we go in and we make these modifications, specifically on mid-rise apartments that are built in the 30s and 40s, there's not a lot of room. And once we make all these clear floor space requirement, pretty much the bedroom and the living area is gone. We got a bathroom, we have a kitchen that's really compliant, but there's not a lot of place to live. So we don't want to use that. So now we looked upstairs, because we do have an upstairs. The same problem I had downstairs hit me upstairs. See, we could put it in a chairlift and get them upstairs. But because of the structure as it was laid out, the spaces that we have, I don't have the space to borrow from Peter to pay Paul to make a larger bathroom and still provide the pathways that I need to. Nor the pull side clearance on the door. And if you don't know what a pull side clearance on a door is, it's 18 inches from the side of the latch over. We don't have that. If you can't have it, I can't approve it. So that comes off the board.
Can I, on this drawing, the pull side clearance is this here?
No, that's push side. Go to the other side of the door, that's pull side. If you had that door reversed and it opened in, looking at it right there on that drawing, I'd say no, it wouldn't pass because it doesn't look like it would have the 18 inches.
Okay. So you're referring opening, the opening side, the pull side of the door needs 18 inches on...
It's from the actual latch side to the next opposing wall to the side of it. And you have to have that 18. Again, 17, 16, no, we can't do that. And HUD won't pass it. It's already been adjudicated in court where we have passed court cases where they've stated that this is how we're going to do it and we're not going to give you anything. Even though in UFAS, there's a section I call 3.2 which states you have construction tolerances. Well, I can guarantee you they do not. We've seen it, this is what I do. So, that's two off. So now I'm adding either onto the building or I'm closing in that garage. Now, Adding on the building's fine, except it costs nearly twice as much. And so again, we go back to what we're going to do as far as money. Also, we think about the aesthetics. I don't know if we could add on to that building and not make it look like I've added on to that building. Now, but I can go in there and do that garage, and you'll never know I was there. I heard one of your staff people queried a question, and maybe it was John that did it, about the fact that, our statement that every home in that subdivision has a garage. And if that's the case, then maybe we don't want to take out the garage door. Maybe we want to leave it in place and pass it into place and put a false wall behind it. So it looks like we haven't done anything that we just talked about. But yet still, I got a livable, passable living area and bedroom, bathroom. And that's really where we're at and why we're at where we're at today. So can I answer any other questions?
The statement that you just made regarding the garage, we're talking about this wall?
Yes.
You're saying as one alternative, you would suggest from an appearance standpoint, putting a false wall
behind it,
leave the garage door, and then building up basically an exterior wall behind that.
Absolutely. And the thing can be done in such a manner, because again, my background is construction. Been out here for 46 years. You got to maintain this thing down the road, these guys still. So whatever we decide to do, we don't want to do something negative that they got to keep up every other year. So we got to make it, we can get in and fix it. We can do that. So the whole thing is we can make this project happen, still maintain the aesthetics that it has. We'll carry the driveway up once we replace it, put my accessible parking stall there, make it look like hasn't been touched. And, you know, that's the whole thing. And I'm going to have a bedroom, or at least the end user is, a bedroom and a bathroom that meets all the requirements of UFAS without any problems. Now, bear in mind, too, something we haven't talked about, I still have to make the rest of the house on the first floor accessible. Means I have to go in the kitchen. I got to lower the sink down to 34 inches or lower to the top of the ribbon sink or the cabinet. I've got to lower the cabinets. I got to put in a workspace. I got to put in a front control stove. I got to put in all push button type appliances and provide those clear floor spaces. So that's not just the garage that we're doing or the little pad up stuff. We actually have them do some other modifications. Doesn't have anything to do with use, but I did want you to understand that has to come into play, and I have to make sure I have these paths of travel. The minimum path of travel is 36 inches. And that's, you'd say, well, that's not too hard to meet. Yeah, it is. Go in some of these older homes like that one, they got 34-inch walls for hallways. Not fun. But we can do it, and we can do it within a price that is reasonable. We can do it in such a manner that it doesn't do anything to the aesthetics of the neighborhood, and nobody's the wiser, and it gives this end user a home that she can utilize without any issues.
The two costs that you gave a few minutes ago.
$137 for the add-on, which is a 12 by 20 building, actual addition, and the other one's $59,000.
And those are the costs.
And we have the breakdown here that we can give you if y'all like it.
Just for clarification, those are the costs of that specific space. So
that's correct.
You're talking about that cost plus
the other
everything that you're just
the sinks that I've got to do, the
kitchen,
addition of making the doorways, the pull side clearance I keep talking about, and down on the first floor I got to make sure we have those.
So that is independent also of the ramp on the front, the driveway widening. So those two costs are strictly for those spaces. They don't include anything else. Nothing else is taken into consideration. And when Mr. Lamani was here at the last hearing, he had referenced the likelihood of furnace, et cetera, associated with any of these options, and that is also a separate cost from those two.
They answer that.
Okay. Thank you.
And I just have one more question.
Certainly.
There was a reference to a 5% requirement.
Yes, sir. You want me to explain that for you?
Yeah, and if you could.
Sure. HUD mandates that all inventory stock of any housing authority or any building that receives governmental funds for housing provide 5% of accessible units. These are fully accessible units. It also requires that we provide 2% audiovisual units, which is a different deal, and we're not really on that subject tonight. But
what it means is that whatever the stock may be that Cook County has or any of these housing authorities I work for, I've got to make at least 5% of every type. And that's, I think, what you're asking. Why did I pick on this one little single-family home out here in the middle of nowhere? But it is. That's a good point to question. The reason I picked on it is because we only have a couple of them. And I got to do at least one of them or 5% of them. And this one's the most conducive of everything I've looked at, because I looked at everything. And that's what I'm looking for, is to find something that we can blend in, be cost-effective, but at the end of the day, we never try to lose sight of the end user, of trying to give them the best living facility that we can afford to do.
So is the modifications that you're making for the bedroom and the bathroom UFAS specific, or is it for a specific resident?
No, it's UFAS specific. Now, if the resident, to answer that question, I'm required to do all these things I've just mentioned under UFAS. And it covers everything from the doorways to the handles that are used to the height of shelving, to heights of controls and everything like that. Well, one size doesn't fit all. So this fine gentleman standing behind me, he is a 504 guy for the Housing Authority. They can go to him for a reasonable accommodation and get a change to it. I can't be a part of that other than the fact it doesn't even come into play while they're doing what they have to do for me to certify the property, because at the end of the day, I have to certify that property as being 100% compliant, and that means the site, that means the interiors. Now, if it was a mid-rise apartment building, it's got common areas, I've got to certify that. Anywhere a public person can go, a resident can go, I've got to have some kind of accessible means so they can get in, utilize it without help. That's the big key. They got to be able to do it without any help, assistance.
So so back to the 5%. So you've got collectively the Cook County Housing Authority has different categories of units. They have apartments, townhomes. I don't know what those are. Right. So in this specific case, single-family homes, because that's a single-family home, 5% of those have to be accessible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then you have apartments, 5% of those have to be?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Of each type. You know, I don't want you to lose sight of, it can be of different types. We have condos. I guess that's what they are, where they're that we're going to actually add on to somewhere in this area. That's a different type. But right. I can't do anything with the interiors on, so I'm really regulated to having to add on to those. I have no recourse. But, so it's basically each site kind of dictates what you're going to end up doing. But at the end of the day, we've got to address each type of whatever there's in their inventory.
All right. Any other comments or anything before?
Just that we chose this particular resident because of the fact, as Mr. Lamani alluded to last time, that she's been a long-term tenant of the Housing Authority. She's been in the same unit for 20 years. She's actually here this evening as well. Her daughter and her 2 children are coming in, as well as Ms. Weider's children that already live there. And she's a deserving tenant. And because of the fact that her daughter has the illness that Mr. Lamani alluded to last time, she does qualify under the statutes that I use to determine who's eligible for the property. So,
if you could give your last name, spell your last name.
Sure. My last name is Barnes, B-A-R-N-E-S. I'm the 504 coordinator for that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yeah, I will. This is a public hearing. If anybody wishes to speak on this matter right now. No. Okay, thank you. We'll start with the commissioners. Commissioner Zangara.
I love the ADA code. I'm doing work in California and dealt with it. The question I have is, with the residential, I see the bathroom, because I've dealt with this for the last 3 weeks. Between the water closet and the lab, is there enough space in this plan? I know I've dealt with it where, especially I'll just say California, they want 3 feet in between the two.
Well, actually, under the new 2010 ADA code, they do too. UFAS hadn't gone to that yet, thank God. In this scenario, the way that works is because that is a wall-hung sink and not a vanity wouldn't work in this scenario.
Right.
But because of that, HUD still approves this because they do let them coexist in this kind of situation. But if this was 2010 ADA I was enforcing, you're right, dead on the money.
Okay, I mean, you've answered a lot of the questions that I know I would ask personally. As far as the doors, I know with ADA, and once again, I'm going to refer to that commercial, do these doors, being residential, they don't need closers on them, do they? They just could be regular operable doors, or do they have closers on them?
Well, here's the deal about the closers. Closers only come into account if and cause a problem when you have them on and that you have a latch and a closer. Then you have to be concerned about push side clearance.
Right.
Then you got to have 12 inches of that. But you still got to have the 18 inches of pull side.
Right.
And ADA and UFAS are the same on that, and they haven't changed. That's still the going rules. So how we get by not having to do the push side is we'll remove the latch. If we have to have the closer because of fire, which is a lot of the cases on these common area restroom, we remove the latch. So there's a way to get around it if you've been around it long enough.
Okay. Besides that, you answered a lot of my other questions considering, you know, we were talking about the bathroom and you mentioned then we talked about the kitchen and all that stuff. Those were kind of questions I was going to bring up is you're focusing on this, but I've seen you focus
you have to,
on the rest of.
At the end of the day, this whole facility has to be compliant, and that means I've got to make a kitchen. See, in UFAS, we're required to make a workspace. You're not required to under ADA. But I had to put in a 30 by 19 by 27 inch high workspace, as well as the sink space that's got to be 30 by 29 by 19 inches that they can roll under, guys. That's what we're talking about, and that's so they can access the back of the cabinet and the sink and what have you. And these are all mandated under the UFAS guidelines. And it's strictly, the workspace is strictly for a dwelling unit, not for the common, and it's not for ADA.
Okay. With that said, I'm going to defer to the rest of them since I was not here last time, and I actually was paying attention to it, so I'm going to let the other commissioners ask their questions. But that's all I really had. Thank you.
Commissioner Schaaf.
Thank you. The cost, strictly talking bathrooms.
Sure.
The cost to renovate the existing first floor bathroom.
It wasn't an issue of cost, it was an issue of structural impracticality and lack of.
Could you speak in the microphone, please?
It never got to a cost scenario. Oh, excuse me. The issue with the existing bathroom was that, number one, structural impracticality and the lack of space available.
So those walls are load-bearing walls?
Yes, on that first floor bathroom.
Okay, so you cannot expand that first floor bathroom?
Well, not that I can't, there's nowhere for me to go to. Have you got the floor plan?
Right in front of me.
Okay, the deal is, the bathroom's over here on the right as you come into the building, the existing bathroom on that hallway.
I must be looking at it backwards then.
If we're talking about the existing, not the one that we just got up on the board up here, that's the new one.
Let me see if I can find the sheet from your packet. We don't put everything in the slides.
Not for that, I don't. That's all existing. I didn't deal with that.
If you're looking in the packet, I'll get you the page number that he's referring to.
Yeah, it says demo plan. And
give me 1 second.
Page 90 of the packet. It's page 90 of the packet.
Right, page 90. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so that's on the right-hand side.
Yes, sir.
And there's no way to go to make that compliant.
I needed to actually come out into the hallway to make it work. And the main reason for it, just so, I want to go
What
back.
about into the living room?
Well, it's actually next to the hallway, though. And what I need is width, not length, to get the clear floor spaces I'm looking for, basically for the tub.
That's right.
Yeah, I see. What about that?
Because, see, the stairwell is, it runs into the stairwell, I believe, if I recall it correctly. Stairwell's on top of it. But anyhow, I couldn't go forward. I can go sideways, laterally. And I couldn't get it out. I didn't have another way of doing away with that particular hallway because the wash machine and dryer's over here on the left. I had to access that, and that's the reason it kind of got shot down. Now, if you got a better way, I'm willing to listen.
I understand. Okay, where I'm coming from is this is a home that is non-conforming. If you were to build on this piece of property a new home, it would require a two-car garage. Existing, there's a one-car garage.
Sure.
Now, you're going to make it not less compliant, you're going to make it more non-compliant.
Sure.
Okay? I don't want to give up that garage.
Sure.
Okay? Whether it's used for storage or for a car, I don't like, you know, if it's used for storage, what are you going to do with what's being stored in there? That's
They didn't
another
have
question.
that much storage in it. Anyhow, that can be rectified. That's
Yeah.
not an issue.
Okay.
But go ahead.
A room addition on the back of the house could accommodate living space,
Absolutely.
a bedroom.
Sure.
A bedroom. Okay.
It just costs too much. You're talking
It
about
costs too much.
137,000 versus 60,000. That's way, HUD would have a holy fit if they heard.
137,000 to put on, what's the size of the bedroom going
It's
into the
10 by-
garage?
It's 12 by 20. It's what the end result of the whole addition would be.
I'm having a hard time with your figures, but
I had the same hard time.
Yeah.
But these are not mine, they're Oaks.
137,000 to put on a 12 by 20.
Yes, sir. Because see what you're doing, you're going, what y'all pay up here, bear in mind, you can tell I kind of got an accent. I'm not local. I'm from Georgia, and it's a lot cheaper down there. So yeah, I was astounded at it. But I mean, I only have to go by what I'm given. And that was what that's what I've been given for the last 2 years I've been up here. Because every time they tell me what a price is, not really have anything to do with my job, but I can still not like it.
Yeah. I don't like using the garage for living space. I
understand, but it goes back to economics and the fact that at some point in junction we have to do what we have to do, and that, you know, that's going to be y'all's decision, of course. But you have to, I will tell you, because what I do is I'm approved by HUD. I'm one of the few guys that actually walk around here that do third-party search that are approved by HUD. That's a big thing. I know what they're going to do. And when we turn that report in, we tell them, well, we're going to have to spend $137,000 instead of $60,000. They're going to want to know why. And then they're going to do what they do, which is not be very nice.
60,000, 69,000 or 60,000?
It's about 59 actually. I think.
Yeah, $60,000 to renovate the existing garage.
Just the garage. I think that's outlandish too, if you want to know my personal opinion.
I think you're a little bit short. Tell you honest to God's truth, I think you're short because you've got sewers to put in.
They're right in front of the house.
Water.
It's all right in front, so it's not a big issue. That's something we already looked at. So that part's not a big monetary thing. I mean,
tearing up that floor and redoing it?
You're not going to tear it before you're going to go and put a wood floor over top of it. So it's got, actually the plan showed that. We're actually using 2x8s and raising the floor up so it's on the exact same floor height as the existing home.
So that garage is used as a step down?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure is. And I can't have a step down in my livable space.
I understand. So you're gonna hook into the existing sewer system?
Yes, sir.
Coming out of that house?
It's right in the front from what the plan showed. Because see, I wanted to put the bathroom at the back of the house, but it got moved to the front because of that.
Yeah, now I'm still,
which I agree to.
I have a hard time, with not using that existing bathroom and making it code
Believe me, if I could
compliant.
make it work, and the fact we didn't have that hallway with the washer and dryer across the hallway from it, if I could have blocked it off and got it, it would have been done, because I'm looking for the simplest and the easiest fix I can find. But at the end of the day, I just couldn't make it work, and I got to tell you, I do this all the time. If I can't make it work, unless you got some little magician you know about, I don't know, I can't do it. I tried, I always try.
Yeah, I don't know where you could put the washer and dryer.
It just opened up one can of worms after another, and you just finally say, okay, this is
I think you're opening up a can of worms where you take that garage out and leaving that garage door in there is not acceptable.
Gosh,
I mean, if you're going to do it,
just keep the same look, because the aesthetics are important.
it's still non-compliant, and you have no garage.
Yeah, I can't.
That's the bottom line.
And that's the reason we're here, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, and so far, I haven't seen any cost. $137,000 to put on a 12 by 20 bedroom.
Yes, sir, and bath. On the west side. That's based on the west side. I don't doubt that it would cost any more or higher or less, put it on the rear. But I know that's for the west side, which is the left side of the property.
On the garage side?
No, not the other side.
Oh, on the back side?
Yeah. Wherever the west side is. Because that's what I was given the price on.
That would be in back of the.
Okay, then it's the back.
In back of the living.
Yeah.
The living
kitchen,
area.
Actually, it's the kitchen on the back.
Because if that washer and dryer weren't there, you could probably put in an existing, make that existing bathroom compliant.
Okay, I could, but now bear in mind, again, that at the end of the day, we got to be very cognizant of who the end user, how their life is going to be affected by what we do. Okay, I understand you think the garage is really important, I really do, and don't mistake that. However, but if we look at the end user's need and utilization, which one's going to be better for them? Me butchering that bathroom up and taking out her washer and dryer and sticking it someplace else, maybe in her living room or dining room, and building another closet and taking more away living space? Or is it going to be better to put it over here in a garage that she's just throwing a little bit of junk in and never parks that car in? Now that's what's out there, and that's what I'm going to beseech you to look at, because that, at the end of the day, is what we're concerned. Cost is important, because I told you that from the get-go, because we deal with HUD, but it's still one of the things that the FHEO really is concerned about is that end user, and so am I. I want them to have the best quality of life they possibly can without breaking our budget, and also without tuning in such fact that it affects her adversely. So that's just what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I can understand the end user at this time.
But if you look at what he's trying to say,
If you could speak into the microphone.
we don't know how many years this particular tenant that's going to have this unit is going to be there. That could change. Life circumstances change. What Mr. Hamrick and I have to do when we look at units is we have to make these UFAS units compliant for anyone with a disability who may come in. Everybody's different, myself included. Some people have mobility impairments, some people use wheelchairs. So when we build these units, one of the other things that we need to make clear here is also the fact that we're not building them tenant specific. We're building them for UFAS specifications so that any tenant who needs them with a disability can take them at any time. And that's what makes it so difficult when he and I do these inventories, is because we have to look at, from the standpoint of what I may see as difficult for me, another end user won't have that difficulty. But HUD also mandates that I have to make certain things, certain space requirements, certain turning radiuses, because of the fact that it's required for all end users, irregardless of disability. So if I can add anything to what Mr. Hamrick has said to you, that's what I would add. It's just that just because this particular tenant has the unit at this time and doesn't use the garage, doesn't utilize it, it doesn't necessarily mean that for us to go into the unit and make the change that you're requesting, while I understand the reason for your request, it may not be conducive for another tenant who may take that property in the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to drop this for a second. How many people are living in the home at the present? Is it 1, 2, 5?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 adult, 2 children. Is that correct? Now you're going to. You got your daughter the daughter coming in,
Yeah.
and three more children.
I need all the bathrooms I can get.
7.
Yeah. Correct.
4 bedrooms total
Right.
for 7 people.
Correct.
No garage.
All right.
I don't like it. Granted, the upstairs, you know, for over $200,000, there's not another piece of property that can handle this. That's what you're telling me.
The deal is they won't let me, we talked about that coming over. It's whether we could just maybe tear this house down and rebuild it or go find another house, sell this house and do that. That's not the way HUD does. It's existing inventory. They won't let, they have to approve. If they want to take anything out of stock and change its utilization or terminate it, whatever, they have to get HUD to approve it. They don't get to do it. HUD's not been really conducive to approving that kind of thing here lately, because I had 2 or 3 of their sites that I would really have loved to see torn down, but what I think doesn't really count in that regard, because they've revitalized them and they look really good now. So that's the issue right there. So no, we don't have that opportunity. They don't. It's strictly, this is what they have, this is what we have to address.
Even though the monetary considerations may prove that it's worthwhile buying a piece of property, making it handicap accessible, and then at the end selling this piece of property.
I agree with you. HUD doesn't. You got to use what you have.
So that's been documented.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just don't see it. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. I guess I could belabor this point. I am not at all happy losing the garage. If I do lose the garage, then make it so that, you know, it's not a fake garage.
Actually, the fake garage deal is something I got after I heard somebody speak on the commission chat. It's actually drawn with actually a pretty window in it. And my understanding, when Mr. Lamani was here last time, he actually agreed to change out any siding that he affected so it'd all be the same color. And that's exactly what we'll do. I just thought you might like the idea of keeping the garage door. If you don't, it's drawn that way right now, without the garage door.
You know, I don't see trying to.
That's not a problem.
Yeah.
But no, the plans now are with a pretty big window in the front. So, okay?
Well, not with a bathroom right there, but, you know, that's, I don't want to belabor this. I'm sure that there are other questions on the floor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just a clarifying question. Commissioner Schaaf was going down the path of bedrooms. With this additional bedroom, there will be 4 bedrooms?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Stylen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't here for the first meeting, so I'll apologize if I didn't pick up on, testimony from the prior meeting. And I have no problems at all trying to do what you're trying to do to make the house as accessible as possible. I think that's an admirable task. On the other hand, I have to tell you about a story that in my former residence, a neighbor 2 doors down moved in and bought the property, put a riser on the bottom of his garage floor, put a floor in, put heating ducts and all kinds of stuff in there, and basically did what you did. And over the 15 years that I lived there, the driveway, which housed one car at first, then started having an additional car that parked, it kind of encroached on the neighbor. Luckily enough, you don't have any neighbors. You have a street and a parkway, but that would be the natural place to park a second car up there. And that wasn't too bad. I mean, we understood what they were doing, but then a third car showed up and they now parked over to this side. And then by the time I left, there were 5 cars parked in that driveway, none of which, the last 2, didn't even fit in the driveway. They were constantly over the sidewalk. Then, from what I understand, cars started parking in the street because now you couldn't get the cars out when, because there were too deep and whatever, and it was terrible. And that's a reason why I am opposed to getting rid of the garage. Now, not to saying that
Let me make one statement about that.
Hold on.
Sure.
Not to say that couldn't happen here because, you don't have to park a car in the garage. But it sure is a lot easier to start enforcing things when, you do have space. And I'm not sure that, I don't want that to happen. We just reviewed the parking requirements for our town this last year. We reaffirmed the necessity for 2-car garages for houses and as well as other multifamily facilities. Why? Because there are a lot more cars today than there were, I'm sure, when your house was built probably 30 years ago.
Exactly.
So I'm sorry, I just can't see it. Somewhere in the packet I saw that you were asking for some kind of street parking variations that just add to my concern. I know what happened to my block in the past. I don't want to see that happen here. And once you start doing that, you set a standard potentially for anybody to start doing that. And that's not what I want in our town, so.
Okay, well, the only thing I will say, and it was your example that made me think of it. The thing is once you get past 2 more cars, and you get to 3 and 4 cars, well, you have a 1-car garage, 2-car garage, it's really irrelevant. You still got the problem you're talking about. So, I don't know if I'm gonna buy into that one, simply because they can have 5 cars, and whether they have that 1-car garage or not, it's really irrelevant. And so with that point being that way, I'd have to go that way.
But it comes down to enforcement, though.
That's up to y'all again, that's like the reason we're here today. But the thing is that again, I can't. And, I understand y'all's feeling, I really do. And I hope y'all understand where the housing authority is coming from as far as what they're capable of doing, of being able to do with the mandate we have from HUD.
So would you be willing to put a covenant on the property that restricted the property to 1 car being parked in the driveway?
Mr. Lamani stated that he would be willing to do that, and I'd have to support that.
Yeah,
we understand we're the neighbors in Wheeling, and we'd have to try to conform to as much.
If I'd be a lot more amenable to this consideration if there were that kind of covenant, as well as no long-term parking on the street during off hours, whatever.
We would have to.
That'd be my only concern. Thank you for considering that.
Just for one quick clarification, when we left off, there were three potential conditions of approval where we ended the last discussion. I'm not sure that this has an impact, but let me just read them now. Number one was they had submitted a driveway widening plan, and the commission, to that point, the consensus was a condition requiring that driveway widening be part of the variation, be conditioned with it. There was a discussion, replace the siding on the home to match. So if it was not possible to match on the garage area, Mr. Lamani had agreed to reside, so it'd be uniform. And then the third condition was resurfacing of the drive to a uniform quality, which was referring to when the ramp and driveway, if those were to be constructed, that the existing driveway, which I believe is asphalt, there'd be a uniform surface. So that was where those were the three that were in the discussion to that point.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Dorban.
Thank you. I have a couple preliminary questions. What's the existing square footage of the home?
The entire square footage of the house is a little over 1,700 square feet.
Okay. And the additional square footage is how much?
The garage, you're talking about the garage?
Mm-hmm.
The garage itself is 295 square feet by itself.
So,
that 1,725 is inclusive of the.
pardon me?
The 1,725 figure is inclusive of the square footage of the garage.
That's including the garage, 1,725 including the garage. Okay. Okay. The figure you gave us for 137,551 for the addition, does that include the kitchen remodeling?
No, ma'am. That's strictly that little addition. And that 59,000 I gave you for the garage is strictly for the garage.
Okay. Now,
doesn't include the site work, nor does it include the addition of stuff I got to do in the kitchen.
I'm guessing 25 for that kitchen? Maybe
No, not quite that much. Probably with the new appliances and stuff, probably more like 10 to 12. And then I've got to modify a couple of doors inside because I don't have pull-side clearance I was telling you about, and I've got to change all the locks over to lever.
Okay. Give me a figure.
Probably another 3,000.
So we're talking 15. That's an additional 15. Now what about the exterior, the driveway repairs and extension and whatever?
I got a price on that?
Not yet. We have not gotten a price.
No price? Okay, I'm going to estimate it. Bear in mind I'm from the south. And we pay a little less down there. But anyhow, generally it averages somewhere around $8 a square foot for that driveway.
Okay.
Okay. And we're probably talking about maybe spending close to 10 to 12,000 to remove and replace. Because see what they've got to do, we hadn't talked about this, but I've got to have a parking stall that's incorporated in this site plan that's 13 by 20 foot wide that has 2% or less slope in it. And that's going to be right up there next to the house where the parking spot would be. And then I've got to have a ramp from that is compliant to the porch, which is elevated. And then I got to have a sidewalk from that porch out to the public transportation stop, which is a city sidewalk.
Give me a figure.
I'm going to guess probably 15 to 20.
Siding. Now you've got to replace all the siding because it's not going to match.
Well, I don't know what that deal was, if it's all the siding or is it parcel to siding?
Well, I mean...
y'all tell me, I wasn't here.
What's the age of the home?
Early 1980s.
1980s.
So...
Now, vinyl siding has a lifespan of 40 years. Yes, ma'am. I also do P&As with physical needs. 40 years.
I don't think so.
Actually,
I mean,
it
I've seen
does.
siding that, you know,
No,
I
ma'am,
live in a fairly new home and my siding doesn't look good.
Okay, it depends
And
on the
that's not even
quality of
20
the
years.
solid that you get, because they have different grades, but seriously.
It's not going to match though, so you're going to have to
I know,
reside
that's,
it.
understand that Mr. Monty said, anywhere it
Okay.
doesn't match, y'all gonna change it. He's gonna change it.
Let's say you have to replace it all, which is my guess. How much, give me a figure.
How much up here, Jimmy?
About $500. What was the?
I would imagine it's got probably 30 squares on it. How much you pay a square?
It's about $20 a square.
More than that.
25?
No, you gotta install it in and put it on.
It was about $20 a square.
For the vinyl, that's gonna be the trim and everything?
Yeah.
That'd be $600, that can't be right.
I'd have to get back to you on that.
I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be somewhere around $7,000 to $8,000.
Okay. The garage floor. Like I said, my house isn't even 20 years old. I see cracks in my garage
We're
floor.
not using the floor, we're building up with the.
But you've got to repair that floor.
No,
I mean,
ma'am, I'm not using the floor at all. It's
You're-
being covered up.
You're not even going to repair it at all?
There's no need. No, ma'am, do you understand when I say I'm gonna cover it up? I'm actually gonna build a floor over top of it. If it cracks up, whatever, it doesn't matter because it will never be utilized again. It's not even gonna be walked on, seen, or anything. Do you understand that part of the construction process?
I understand it.
Okay.
So we're talking about, give or take, we're probably about $175,000 by the time you're done. If you
Probably.
have to add that addition, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you're going to, and I think the other gentleman pointed out that, and you don't live here, you live in Georgia. I don't think you see a whole lot of snow like we do here.
Sure.
And I think the other gentleman pointed out that the end user may not be the same lady who's living there now. That end user, right? I mean, that's what he said. He
No,
said,
that's not quite what I said, ma'am. I said, right now, that tenant will be the end user.
Right,
What I
right,
said
right now.
What I said is, when we do the projects, we have to take into consideration that
Right.
tenants may move, but it still doesn't exempt us as a housing.
no, that's not my point, that's not where I'm going. What I'm saying is that right now, the lady is there, and she could move. She could conceivably go somewhere else. I mean, is it possible? I don't know.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. But you could get a new person in there, okay, who might really want that garage. So now, if we take the garage away, we've eliminated that use for another person who'd come in possibly. And in this weather, I mean, I know myself, I don't want to go clean a car off.
No, ma'am.
And let me finish, please.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay, somebody could go, I mean, another end user could need that space or want that garage space, and it would be available. If you take it away, another user can't use it. And my concern is here, I know I wouldn't want to live without my garage. Okay? I don't want to, I'm physically able to clean off my car. This person may not be, and I'm concerned about what might be down the road for another person in there. So I've got a lot of things here going on in my head, and I'm thinking this house is over 30 years old. Okay, now we're taking in a neighborhood that's established, that the people that have garages have their garages, and I'm sure they use them.
Sure.
And taking away the garage, if, let's say, down the road, the housing authority decides they want to sell this house. Now they've sold a house without a garage or want to sell a house without a garage. It's tough in this market to not have a garage in this weather. This house is built on a slab, if I'm correct. Okay, so you have that issue. You don't have the availability of a basement for storage. Now you've added additional people. My house is like 3,000 square feet. 2 people live in it, okay? I have stuff. and there's 2 of us, and there's a lot of storage. And now you've added 7 people, and now more people have stuff. We have stuff. I mean, we just collect stuff. I'm concerned about the logistics of how people are going to live in a 1,700 square foot house with 7 people and no place for storage. And now you've taken the garage away, even that could be used for storage. It seems to me you're making this house smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about setting a precedent going forward to the rest of the neighborhood. I too have traveled around the village looking at homes, and I've seen homes where they've, took the garage and obviously made it another room. It doesn't fit. It looks funny. You're saying, just leave the garage door where it is.
That's the option.
And I understand that, and I realize it would have the appearance that it was there.
Sure.
But you've taken the garage away from a very snowy environment. And I'm thinking if somebody is not able to maneuver in the snow, if they could get into the garage and get out of the garage where there is no snow, and it would make their life much easier. Now, this particular person doesn't care for it, and that's fine, but that condition could change. And that's my concern down the road.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Please address that, what I have to say. I mean,
A couple of things. First thing I want to let you know.
If you could talk into the
garage
microphone.
as it exists, excuse me. I thought I talked long enough. The garage itself is not compliant to be a parking spot. So, in essence, for someone who's handicapped, I can't use that parking, and I would have to make it compliant, by the way. I don't have the room to make it compliant. It's only 12 foot wide. It's got to be 13, by the way. That's another UFAS rule. So, for somebody who's handicapped, that's off the board. They don't get a garage unless I can make it 13 foot wide.
but if it's already there, what difference does it make,
makes
whether they use it or not?
If it's there, look at what I tell these guys, and they hate it when I tell them, if it's there, guess what? It's got to be compliant. I don't care. HUD certainly doesn't care. The thing at the end of the day is that if they say 13 foot wide, by God, it's going to be 13 foot or wider, okay? And we don't have that. So that's one. They're not going to get it to begin with. Two, he was talking about the getting in and out, and I understand that. How it would be nicer to have that. But again, in their case, this is the life that they have. We can't make it perfect, and that's not the end. That's not what we're going to do. But we do try, like you're just mentioning, trying to think of the end user, how it's going to be. As far as what it costs, like I told you before, in the HUD manual, the guidelines, it state that they would look at something being so high that it would they would allow you not to do it. Guess what? In all these years I've been doing it, I hadn't found a cost yet that was too high for HUD not to allow them to do it. So in other words, that house that you're talking about, we say we did add on the outside part. Yeah, it's then got astronomical. But does HUD really care at the end of the day? No. But they will go back and say, if these guys go to them and say, look, we got to do this because this is what the Planning Commission says. And they're going to say, well, don't you have an alternative? Yeah, we got this alternative. Well, why isn't that you're using it? Well, they say we can't. And then we have HUD getting involved in an issue that I really don't want HUD involved in. You certainly don't, because it's just a pain. And so that's kind of where we're at. If you really want to know how things work with HUD, who doesn't really communicate with you well, me either, even though I'm approved by them. I can call them today and they wouldn't return my call in 3 weeks. You can do the same, by the way, and they won't return your call either. The enforcement side is what I'm talking about. Now, I'm not talking about the guys down here in the street in the local office. Those guys are really nice normally. But the guys who enforce these mandates that I'm talking about, the VCA, stuff like that, or just in fact that you've got to do it because you're receiving government financing of any kind, they're the ones that's going to come down hard on these guys about what they do and why they did it. My job as a third-party certifier is to just report, hey, this is why they did it. And it's either certifiable or it's not certifiable. I don't have any choice or recourse.
Just out of curiosity, with the improvements we talked about, by adding the addition, we talked about, what would it cost to retrofit the garage door so it was usable? Can you guesstimate that?
It's not the garage door, it's the garage, size of the garage itself. That means you got to move the exterior wall out a foot.
Okay.
Hood wouldn't approve that.
So we are talking a minimum of $175,000.
If you go with the addition versus the other, sure. And HUD's going to have a hard time with that.
My question is then, well, I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels about it.
Sure.
I'm using this figure because that's what I want to talk about.
I'm sorry.
I guess I'm saying, is it worth it for this kind of figure based on what that home is valued at?
You know,
I mean,
from my perspective, absolutely not. Personally. Not what I do for a living, personally. No, of course not. Nobody would think that. But what I told you at the very beginning about this, the fact that it's in the thing saying that the cost could be a part of it, well, I've never seen it a part of it. I've seen us pay $80,000 to retrofit. Have y'all seen any of the housing of the Cook County high-rise housing? You ever been in one of the units, by the way?
No.
They're small. I've seen where we spent $80,000 a unit to get them in compliance because we had to replace a stack or whatever the case may be in the unit because we couldn't tie into it. Is that reasonable? No, ma'am. But I tell you what, it's being done all over the country. Just in case y'all want to know, I work in Cleveland, Ohio, Cuyahoga Housing Authority, Atlanta, Georgia Housing Authority, New Orleans Housing Authority, Tampa, St. Petersburg. I'm all over the country doing this. This is not a one-shot deal.
I appreciate your expertise
and stuff, but I'm trying to get
what you do.
I hope I'm giving you the picture of what I have to see. And I hope you understand I don't always approve of the picture I have to present. I sure tell these guys enough. But at the end of the day, I don't have any choice. This is what it is. And so we're here tonight to try to convince y'all and let you really understand why they have to do this. If they could go choose something else, believe me, they'll jump on something else in a heartbeat. They don't get the choice. They're going to do that house. They're going to do something to that house.
I appreciate your expertise, and I appreciate everything. I just am having a real hard time with everything I talked about, but basically changing the character of the neighborhood by, allowing a bedroom to be placed in the garage. I think that sets a dangerous precedent going forward to other homeowners anywhere in our village.
Possibly, but again, from a HUD standpoint, they're more concerned about the lady sitting in the back of the room
I understand.
than anything of what we're concerned about, what it might do, as long as it's not detrimental. And I got to be honest with you. What we're talking about here is not detrimental. I know that you may think it is in a certain form because you just don't like it. And I appreciate that. Believe me, I do appreciate that. Don't know, if I was in your shoes, I'd be any different. But the point of it is, at the end of the day, it's really not going to change anything. The house has to be done, and we need to do it in a way that is the most conducive for them because we want to do that, but also not hurt the aesthetics of the neighborhood. That's the reason I was willing to leave the door in there. If that would make it look like, a garage was still there so that nobody would really be the wiser. And then if Jimmy and them were willing to give you all a limitation on how many cars can be in the thing, so be it. That's their prerogative.
Did you include in everything we talked about, you'll have to change the front door, I assume?
Yes, it's not wide enough.
Did you include that in these figures?
It's in the inner figures that we talked about for the kitchen and that kind of stuff. The kitchen figures around the 12 to 15 should get all of that. That we got to do the mods for the handles, doorway out modifications. I talked about doorway modification, that's one of the doorways. Also the doorway going into the garage has got to be changed out because it's too narrow. But that's all part of it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Sure.
Mr. Barnes, just a quick question to what Commissioner Dorman was talking about. How are in this, we're talking about specifically this house, how are, like, if the current tenants moved out, how would new tenants be picked? Would they be picked to fit that house?
What we would try to do, Mr. Chairman, is we, as a 504 coordinator, what we do is I work with the wait list and leasing department for the public housing division where this particular property is a part of. And Mr. Harney and I and Mr. Lamani work together with the executive director to try to find a tenant who is suitable for the property and can utilize the property and its features that we renovate. Specifically, if we renovated it, we would be looking for a tenant or an applicant with a mobility impairment specifically, because that's what this is built for. These type of units, these 5% units, we look for tenants and applicants with mobility impairment so that they can get the full enjoyment of the property.
Thank you. Commissioner Powers.
Thanks. Just a couple questions. As far as, did you look at is building on top of the garage, was that even considered at all? Or it's because of UFAS that is not an option, or it's the most expensive option?
Well, again, it gets a little bit expensive to go on top of that, yeah. No, it really wasn't. What I did look at, though, was, of course, going up on the second floor and modifying it to utilize what was up there. And that became very clear that there's not enough maneuver room to get the paths of travel and the clear floor spaces. So we didn't really look on it, because that really is changing the look of the house. And so, no, sir, I didn't look at that.
Okay. Just so you understand, okay, we talked about the single-family dwelling that was A-type, okay? And then the 5%, you said 5% of these have to be UFAS compliant, correct? And
yes, accessible.
And you weren't told by HUD which of those 5% units you could take. It was just determined that because of the situation with the 3 living there now and the inclusion of another family, you know, one with disabilities or whatever, additional 4, that was kind of what determined that this should become part of the 5% pool and to make this home UFAS compliant, correct?
Actually, no, not from my perspective. The lady, her need actually came in later. The reason it got chosen to begin with was the fact that I looked at the existing stock that we had to determine, and when I say look at it, I walk into units and look at the inside layout and stuff. And what I'm looking for is one that can be modified the most economically. And of course, what figures we're talking about are not really economic, but anyhow, that's what I'm looking for. And this is the one that stood out amongst the other 2. And so it is the one that got chosen because of the garage. And I have to tell you, it is because of the garage, that particular area. It made it the most conducive.
So whether there was going to be additional occupancy because of, and that introduced a disability, unfortunately, no matter what, this house was targeted to be converted, whether the disability was going to eventually be there or not. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
All right. I really have no other questions, and I have concerns about use of the garage being non-conforming also. So that's really all I have.
Any other questions, comments?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Schaff.
I want to start off with saying I don't want to lose a 20-year resident of the village. Really, I am concerned about this village, not any other area in the country, in the state, in the county. Okay, this is my village. I don't want to lose a 20-year resident. I don't want to change this house so much that it is detrimental to the existing area. What to do with the washer and dryer? Move it into the garage.
Make it accessible, I can't do that.
I'm sorry?
I have to make it accessible, I can't do that.
You can't widen that door and put a ramp in.
Then the garage won't be usable.
And it won't be usable for this resident.
Correct.
It's not usable now.
Okay, let's back up a minute. Once we do the house to make it UFAS, it's always going to have somebody in it that needs that type of stuff. We're not going to put somebody in, they're not going to put somebody in there that doesn't need the accessibility features. So that's the thing. That's always going to have somebody in there that's handicapped.
You asked me what to do with the washer and dryer.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, move it into the garage. You've got room in the garage. You've already stated that the end user is not using the garage.
Okay. It doesn't work.
That's what you've said.
Yes, it did.
Okay. There is a way to make that washer and dryer accessible to the end user. Okay. If you build a smaller addition on the back of the house for the bedroom, that really doesn't change that house that much. A smaller addition, or even a 12 by 20. You've already said that HUD doesn't care, but they don't. You want to use the existing footprint. I'm saying the existing footprint, that garage is going to take more than what you. That garage is going to buckle.
It doesn't matter. We're not supporting off of it.
What do you?
It's actually got 2x8s or 2x10 floor joists going from wall to wall, so unsupported by the garage floor. The garage floor has nothing to do with it.
So you're going to support those 2x8s with nothing?
Or 2x10s.
2x10s.
Only 12 foot wide. You can use a 2x8 up to 12
I'm
foot.
giving you. I'm looking at a different option.
Sure.
I'm saying put a bedroom addition in, modify the existing first floor bathroom, use that closet that the washer and dryer is in. Those are.
But where's the washer and dryer going?
Put it in the garage.
Okay. Here's what I want you to understand, because this is what I understand what you're saying, but I want you to understand what got to happen from UFAS standpoint. From UFAS standpoint, even though the person who lives there who's incapacitated may never use that washing machine, guess what? They got to be able to get to it, and they got to be able to use it if they want to. So if you want to get it, make it, and I can't make them go outside the house and come down a ramp and then go into the garage with their clothes. That's not going to happen either. Not going to pass. So what you're asking me to do is make that door wider there going into the garage, and then put a ramp in there, which is going to make that garage unusable. So what have I accomplished?
You've accomplished using an existing bathroom. You've accomplished putting a room addition, okay, and I still have a problem with 7 residents in a 4-bedroom house. The kids grow older, okay?
Not my part. I can't say that.
I understand that, but that garage could be used by taking out that ramp.
Again,
yeah, it can.
It can't.
So,
as long as it's UFAS, and once we modify it, which we will, it's going to always be a UFAS home. And every element in it has to be accessible. And that's really what I want you to see other than anything else I've said. It's all got to meet, and it's all got to be accessible. I can't pass it if it don't, and HUD certainly won't. And they'll come in and violate these guys for noncompliance.
Okay.
And we certainly don't want that.
Right. Okay. You have not convinced me that this is a viable project, the way it's presented.
Because here's what I want you to understand. It's going to have to be done at that home because it's one of the homes. HUD's going to demand it. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't get to choose. That's not my job. My job is to simply point, yes, it will, no, it won't. That's what I do. That's what I'm doing here tonight. This is what will work. This is what won't work. But this house is going to get modified. And the thing is trying to find a way amongst everyone here, these guys, you guys, that is going to be agreeable and beneficial to everybody. But at the end of the day, it's going to be fully 100% compliant. And it's going to meet everything, whether it's a parking stall, the size of the parking spot, whether it's the size of that bathroom. And it will not deviate one iota from that. is what's got to happen. And the thing is there's a way to do it. Now, I realize from y'all's point of view where y'all from, but again, there's a way to do it, but it's got to be compliant. Now, we brought you several different alternatives.
You brought one alternative, do the
We can
garage.
add on to the building. I don't want to do that because HUD's going to question why. And I don't know if I made that real clear to you about what HUD has to do with this area. They're going to question these folks, not me, because I don't make decisions. They're going to question these guys. Why'd y'all spend $175,000, I think is what you came up with, versus why'd you spend maybe 80 or 90? They're not going to be happy, and then they're going to look to see who caused it. And so, that's where we at. So we got to find some commonality between all of us. Y'all, okay. I'm just kind of here trying to tell you what the point of how HUD's going to react and what they're going to do. And, that's where we at. I can't tell you anything else. But the thing is I know that these guys want to do something that would be amicable to you, but at the same time, make what I got to have them do. See, I don't get to design these things. I want y'all to understand. I don't do the design. I come in and do, this is what will work based on my background. Then the designers come in and design. And then I have to approve that design. And then I have to certify it once it's done. So that's how this works. Okay?
I see. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Commissioner Stalin?
Well, I mean, the only comment that I'll make is it sounds like what the petitioner is saying is that it's going to happen. The house is going to be renovated one way or the other, and I believe our job is to try and make it as unintrusive a renovation to the town, to the character of the area. And, whether that's put in a garage door or not put in a garage door, I think my concern would be it is or it will be a four-bedroom house. Four-bedroom houses having 8, 7 occupants, I don't think is necessarily unreasonable. We probably have those kinds of conditions in town, so that doesn't seem to be inordinary. I mean, the lack of car parking space is a concern of me, but I know what will happen there. How many children are in the house or will be in the house? Let's say school-aged children, how many?
There's four adults and 3 children.
Are they school-aged children?
Doesn't matter.
So there's 2 of them sent and dry.
So I'm sorry, I can't hear, and neither can the public. Can somebody answer what she's saying?
Her son is 16, her daughter's 21, her other daughter that lives there. My daughter, we moved there, my daughter's 14, and then I have 2 younger ones that are 9 and 7.
Okay, so I don't know. There's a number of them that are school-aged children. If you only have one car that's allowed to park in the driveway, my guess is that somebody will fund transportation for the children to school and pick them up, make sure they're on a bus route, whatever, right? So, that will be accommodated. It bothers me a little bit when you hear more adult driver-oriented people that may necessitate cars because of working conditions, whatever. That's when I think things start to become unusual. So, from a HUD perspective, what would this particular size house as it exists with the expanded I forgot the word that you used, to renovate it to be accessible. What kind of population would that normally occur?
From HUD's perspective?
Yeah, how many people, adults, children, would be a typical mix? Is this ordinarily typical of that mix?
Again, I can tell you what I've seen, okay, and this is not HUD's recommendation, because I don't think they have any that I'm aware of, and I'm sure they may, that these guys may be aware of, but I know from what I've seen. I've seen anything from, the caregiver and one person, I've seen up to 8 people. And here where it's like in her case, they have a mother who's taking care of an older daughter who's got several kids, and she may even have a kid of herself that's still there. So I have seen that around the country, and that's not that unusual. The thing is, because of the economic issue we had back in 08, 09, 010 and stuff, we've seen a lot of families going back together and living, instead of having a mom and dad live one place and the son living somewhere else. Well, son moved back in with his wife. I'm going to use my own son as an example. He was caught up in this issue with all this stuff, and so he is now living with his mother and father-in-law.
Does he have a car?
Yes, they do. 2 of them. Fortunately, they live in the country, so we don't have that issue. Right. But the point of it, and I understand what you said, and I thought, if I understood correctly, that they would give you a agreement stating that they would limit the number of cars at the site, and then the family has to go by it. And, I think that's your best fit on that. I don't know of any other way to do it, because I'm like you. Yeah, you can end up with 5 cars out there. Your example about a while ago was extremely good, because, that's what happened in my neighborhood next door. So, yeah, I feel the pain. But if they can limit them, absolutely, that's what I'd do.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hamrick, you stated that garages have to be UFAS compliant. So if the addition was put on this particular house, would you have to widen the garage? So that increases the cost of that too.
Again, it's unfortunate. If it's not there, I don't have to deal with it. If it's there, I deal with
it. You mentioned this, we've been talking about the 5%. When did is that something new? When did that come to the Housing Authority?
What, the 5% deal?
Yeah, the 5%, has that been?
Actually, it came about in 1984.
Oh, wow, okay.
And to give you some background, it was basically, nobody paid attention to it. And then they came in and did the FHA Act in 1991, and then they did the ADA Act in 1990, which went in effect in 92. But they forgot to put in an enforcement arm for all of this stuff. So every owner, every housing authority, every architect paid lip service to it, and they didn't do anything. Then around 2000, HUD and the Department of Justice said, oops, and now they're coming back and they're making them fix it. We were fixing stuff that was built in 1930 because there's no grandfather under UFAS. If you're getting federal funds, you will make it accessible 100%. There's no get out of jail free cards. This is what's required. And folks, you don't have to believe me. It's in the UFAS manual. You can actually call HUD if they'll talk to you, and they'll be happy to explain the same thing to you, specifically the Enforcement Division. That's who does all this stuff. And DOJ does it for the public side. That's what he and I were talking about a while ago. And HUD does it for the housing side. And they actually have 2 different sets of rules. They're very similar, but they're 2 sets of rules. And they won't mandate this. And there's no get around, go around, let's substitute, let's do that. When they say they want 5% of each type, that's exactly what they mean. And we don't have a lot of types in this particular instance, this house and the other 2 we're talking about. We don't have a lot of choice. We only have got like 2 or 3 choices. And this one was the best. And to see if HUD enforcement comes in and looks at it like what I do, and that's essentially what I'm doing. I replicate what they do. That's what they're going to say too.
So what's the time frame for this compliance? 7 years from when?
We have to make sure that we have, all of our properties have to be compliant within 7 years from 2013. So basically, we're required to do a certain number of properties to achieve our total number of units, which in this case is 98 total units based on the amount of inventory that we have. We're required within the next 7 years to meet that goal. So each year, Mr. Hamrick and I are required to submit paperwork to HUD that substantiates that we've done a certain number of units. For example, this year we've done, if all the units are done by the end of the fiscal year, which is March 31st, we will have done a total of 22 units.
So you have 70-something to go.
We have about 84, 85.
They just started basically, and they got a long way to go. And something that, they don't talk about, again, something they don't talk about, and the reason I'm here is they have a deadline each year, and they have an amount that they must render each year. If they don't render it, they're found in violation. They can be very problematic to be found in violation. They can't afford to be caught. Nobody can. My job is to ensure that they're not. I try to help them get where they need to get. And it's tough because, they don't get extra money from HUD. What I was telling you a while ago, that's the straight truth. They got to take into the personal fund, their regular operating funds and find this money. When we're talking about the 175 that you was added, imagine what that does to the capital. So we have to be, even though, we're not supposed to be looking at it, we got to be cognizant of what we're spending, or they do. And that's what we're trying to do. So hopefully we can find some commonality in these areas to get what we need to get. Well, the only problem is we got to get that by March 31st. That's the deadline for this one. I don't get an extension. They don't get one. March 31st is it. So that's where we're at. And we've been working on this since June. So it's not something we just started yesterday.
Mr. Stalin.
I have a question for our staff in regards to a potential covenant to limit on-site parking to one car. Is that a viable condition to put on a variation request? Is that something that's even possible to do to mitigate, the variation that's being requested?
Well, the current proposal, as the variation request and the condition that the commission had discussed last week or 2 weeks ago, was to widen the driveway to allow a second car to be parked. If the commission would like to recommend to the board a covenant, the owner of the property has already stated on the record their difficulty in selling these properties. So it does seem to be a covenant that could be, I don't know if.
Would it be enforceable, I guess, by our?
Could we require a covenant to be recorded as a condition of approval? I don't see a reason why not.
But would that be something that our police department or whatever would be able to enforce, and then would it stand up in court and all that other kind of?
I suppose you could put the language in the covenant that would define the remedy for the village.
So it's feasible.
We could most likely also make it part of the lease, where we would have to enforce it if they did have two cars, it would be a violation of their lease, which could result in an eviction, like any other violation of a lease. We could do that.
I hear you, but like all things, properties can be sold and variations go with property. So you guys may decide to get rid of it, and then we're stuck with what's left in the future. And I don't know, I'd leave it up to our guys. Something that's longer term than your lease concept.
That'd be an additional protection though.
Yeah.
Enforcement.
Anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Andrew, we have some conditions. But before we go, Commissioner Stein was talking about the putting a condition for one car. Do we want to keep it at one car? We have expanded the parking. So
I haven't seen a plan that shows 2 cars and how,
that,
is this 2 cars?
On the right side is
On the right side
That's
is-
the plan that they have submitted. That's what the motion currently references.
On the right, on this one?
The existing is on the left. The right side is a sort of a zoom in to the driveway.
Oh, so I see, it's kind of, I don't know, I'd like to see it on the same scale.
So where's the garage door on it, Andrew? On the one on the right? Where would that?
Right here. The house ends here.
Oh,
So the garage is here currently.
okay.
Again, my only concern is quantity of cars, whether it be, a 1 or 2 width driveway.
it's a,
I'd prefer to limit the number of cars that can be parked.
well, it's a 2-width driveway, so 2.
Yeah, but I've seen people park on the grass and park on the
Well,
grass.
if we put a covenant in there that says 2 cars, that's it.
Yep.
Would everybody be in agreement to make that 2 cars? Commissioner Dorban?
Yes?
Commissioner Zangara?
Yes.
Mr. Chef?
Yes.
Commissioner Stylen?
2 is fine.
And Commissioner Powers?
2.
Yeah, I'm good too. All right, so what conditions do we have? Vote.
The conditions thus far. Number 1, the petitioner widen the driveway as shown on the partial site plan. We'll print this for you. Number 2, that the home is re-sided for uniform appearance on removal of the garage door. Number 3, that the driveway is resurfaced for a uniform quality once widened. And number 4, that the petitioner agreed to a covenant restricting the property to a maximum of 2 vehicles.
And would it, I saw in the proposal a request for off-site parking. Can we also add to that there would be, that they would drop the request for?
We had actually gone over that with the petitioner prior to the first hearing. The original letter was written without the knowledge of the limitation on on-street parking in the village. So the driveway widening is part of a result of that. The original idea was to request a on-street permit. We don't have overnight on-street parking. In this case, it would be doubly difficult to pull off because the street parking, the day street parking is on the other side of the street anyway. So once they had that knowledge, they agreed to just widen the driveway to accommodate. So they have essentially withdrawn. I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but the idea was withdrawn after they understood that.
Okay. I do have one other question, if I could, Mr. Chairman, real quick. Are there any outside people that are required to come on site to the house on a daily basis, like nurses or supervisors or whatever, that might increase the amount of parking that's required?
At this time, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a motion for docket number 2013-20? Unless, Mr. Jennings, do you have anything?
No, with the 4 conditions.
With the 4 conditions?
No, I don't have anything additional. I think we
Great.
covered everything.
Thank you. So we have docket number 2013-25, Housing Authority of Cook County. Do I hear a motion? Have a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
And I will second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Stylen, seconded by Commissioner Schaaf. Mr. Secretary?
The motion for 2013-25, Commissioner Stylen.
No.
I am Commissioner Schaaf, I vote no. Commissioner Dorban,
No.
Commissioner Powers,
No.
Commissioner Zangara,
I vote no.
and Chairman Rafato.
No.
That is 6 no and 1 absent.
With that, though, the variation, and we voted no because the variation must meet all the standards to be granted. We as a commission voted no, and so at this time I'm going to ask each member that voted no to be more specific and speak to one of the standard variations here and as to why they voted no. We need to do that. Commissioner Stylen?
Well, I think in general for conditions 2, 3, and 4, the house as it is with the occupants and lots of other similar properties in the neighborhoods have existed in that situation for 30 and 40 years, and it is not the fact of the property existing that way isn't the unusual hardship condition. It's the fact that the owner of the property has imposed certain restrictions upon themselves that make the hardship possible because they in turn have to expand it to meet the disabilities, capabilities, etc. So I don't necessarily believe that they could, for the money that they're going to invest in the house and the value of the current property, that they probably couldn't find an existing property in our town that would meet their needs or could be developed with probably a lot less substantial costs given the constraints of the floor space that are restricting them today. So I just think, and the fact that the parking, even though the increased congestion for having the loss of the garage will impact the character of the neighborhood. So thank you.
Commissioner Schaaf.
I believe that my no vote was predicated on condition 1, that there could be other solutions more viable than using that garage and to make that house accessible. Commissioner Stylen put 2, 3, and 4, and I agree with him on that, in that it is the petitioner who put those conditions out, and there could be other possibilities.
Commissioner Zangara?
I agree with number 1, just the options that there could be other options. I know we talked about costs and stuff, but I believe we could have other options available.
Commissioner Dorban?
Well, I believe that there are alternatives that, they don't care to utilize as one thing, but I don't think it meets our standard for variation. I think the hardship isn't met because I think it's self-imposed. And I think the parking issue is a concern, as well as changing the character of the neighborhood.
Commissioner Powers?
I would agree with the hardship issue, and the change the character would be changed by the changes proposed, and I think we've given alternate solutions that don't seem to be a remedy right now.
Thank you. And I would indicate standards 1 and 2. We have given other options. There are other options available, and it's not unique circumstances for that property. And there are other options that are available. Mr. Jennings, were you going to?
Sure. At this time, what happens with a petition for a variation? The Plan Commission collects your testimony from the public, the letters that you've submitted, and takes their recommendation, which I'm going to print for you now, and their recommendation is then forwarded to the village board, the elected officials of the village of Wheeling, who would then review review the findings that the Plan Commission has made, and then they would make a determination, a final vote based on the recommendation of the Plan Commission and the findings. If you have additional responses to the questions that came up, if you have additional documentation you'd like to submit, you can do that in between the meetings if you have a response to the specific questions that were asked of you. We'll forward that onto the board. You can be in touch with our office about the date of that meeting. The first available date would be the 16th. If you have, I understand you have the March deadline, so you can talk amongst yourselves and try to figure out if that date works for you, or if you do want to request a different date. So you have my phone number. You can be in touch with me. And I don't know if we had a vote to close on the hearing.
No, we don't yet.
Okay.
Motion to close?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. You'll have something to sign? We just have, I don't think we're going to go over I think we, go ahead.
Okay, thanks.
It'll take 5 minutes.
I'll sign.
Oh, wait, you have to, don't leave.
I'll sign when I
Don't
get
leave.
up there.
Yeah.
What?
You're going to take 5 minutes.
No, well.
Mr. Jennings, approval of minutes. Oops. Sorry, you can hear my grandson speak. Approval of minutes, October 17th, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Voice vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes, October 24th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
November 14th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
And November 21st. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Abstain.
Thank you. Other business. Mr. Jennings.
I do have a couple of things. We had intended, or at least prepared for a discussion tonight that actually we're going to postpone to the next meeting. The state of Illinois has enacted legislation relating to medical cannabis dispensaries and cultivation centers. The staff has done some preliminary analysis of their regulations following a discussion with the village attorneys, and it appears that there would be a need to adopt a couple of modifications to the zoning code. We would need to amend the code to include a definition at minimum for the dispensaries. We may ultimately recommend an amendment for the cultivation centers, although it appears that there will not be a location in the village of Wheeling that would be eligible for that. So we've provided you with some background information, the description of there's an overview by the village attorney on on what has been approved by the state, the possible impact on the village of Wheeling. We've included our map, the preliminary analysis map, which shows a fairly conservative estimate of the land area that would be available under the state regulations for a dispensary. And then we provided some information from Niles and Naperville relative to the discussions they've had. I believe Niles has actually approved theirs, and so that sample ordinance is in there. What we'd like to do is we'll probably set up a public hearing for January specifically for this item as an amendment to the zoning code. It will not have other zoning code amendments attached to it, and we'll have a workshop on it most likely December 16th.
So if everybody can...
Excuse me, 19th.
Yeah, 19th. If everybody can, there's the last couple of pages of what Andrew just passed out, and actually he had sent it with supplemental information. You could read that and be prepared to discuss it at the next meeting. It starts with the memorandum from our attorneys, KTJ, Kleinthorpe, and Jenkins. If you could look at that, that'd be great. Anything else, Mr. Jennings?
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Dorbin.
Well, I just wanted to say, I don't know if we even talked about the lighting festival. It was very nice. And I know that Public Works did a lot of hard work getting all the lights, and it looks beautiful around town. And I wanted to tell them thank you for that. The other thing is we have a couple events coming up. The Taste of the Town is next Thursday. People can go to the website of Wheeling, or they can go to the Chamber of Commerce. And the other one is Dine Around Wheeling. Also, you can go to the website for Wheeling and look that up. Thank you.
Commissioner Zangara.
I just have to say that they did a wonderful job at the Pleasant Run park that opened up. Even though it is December, I had 2 kids running around the park like crazy, so it's a nice big improvement. That's all I have.
Commissioner Schaaf.
I'd like to comment on Heritage Park. It looks like it is really coming along. That's going to be one really nice facility. And I was a little shocked to see Save-A-Lot take their sign down and leave. They're gone.
They
sign and all.
Yes. They did call us just before closing to inform us that they were going to close. They assured us that the employees of that particular store were being absorbed into other stores and would not be losing their jobs at the holidays. They said that it was a relatively new concept, and it did not work as they had intended, so they are
Gone.
they are gone. Yes.
That one shocked me.
Yeah, shocked. That's it for me. Thank you.
Mr. Stylen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a question about the, you said we're going to have start a public hearing in January to start the discussion of the changes to the Illinois laws that were recently made?
So I've gone through the materials in the states authorizing legislation on this. We have the materials from Kleinthorpe and Jenkins. I don't think there's actually going to be very many ways that this could possibly work out. It appears we'll probably present one option as to a recommendation of a definition. We'll probably present one option as to a recommendation of the zoning districts. So I don't anticipate a wide-ranging.
Well, I was just wondering if we could possibly have a workshop.
Oh, that is the intention.
Before that public hearing to, number one, educate ourselves or bring us up to the level of knowledge that you have, and throw out some ideas and see whether they're acceptable or not acceptable, whatever.
I think that's what we're doing on the 19th.
Sure, that's the plan for the 19th.
That's the plan for the 19th.
So it wasn't the start of the public
No,
hearing?
oh, no, I'm sorry. No, it was our discussion.
Okay.
Our discussion on the smoking pot.
And we'd probably anticipate the actual hearing to be in January sometime.
Yes. The actual public hearing will start in January.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Commissioner Powers?
Thanks for the information. I got a good education. Looking forward to a little discussion. I have nothing else.
Thank you. Stella's has been before us a couple of times, 3 times to be exact, and their store opened in Hoffman Estates on Barrington Road and Gulf Road, and I stopped by there today, and it looks exactly like what they had proposed, exactly. So there's no variations, pretty antiseptic, some tables and some gaming machines in the back. And you walk by and they do have some interesting signage, these little balls that go across. I don't know if, but they haven't come before us for signs, have they?
The window signage would be generally on a
Right,
covered
that's true.
basis.
Yeah, right. And it will be interesting to see. When I was in there was nobody in there, but it was 11:15 in the morning, And but from an appearance standpoint, it looked fine. Looked exactly like they had said.
Maybe we should go have a tour.
I'm sure if you call Mr. Leff or Charity that they would, if you set up a time. I can't do it during the day, but let's think about it. If you want something, talk to Andrew. I'm sure we can arrange something for some people to go there. Or go on your own. Anything else? A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.